You're watching Ticket TV. Like, share, and subscribe on your way in. So basically, we don't know what happened. Out of the blue, Diddy's son King Kong comes out, lashes out completely online. And I'm trying to figure out, is this because he might have found out some information? Did he talk to his father and find out maybe the appeal may not go right? I'm not saying this is it, but I'm just saying out of the blue today, he comes out and goes off talking about, people being in the Epstein files that are celebrities that are walking around here free. But his daddy locked up and his daddy ain't in the Epstein files. Now, we talked about that aspect, and we talked about how, as well, I did a live stream on this. Y'all haven't been getting notifications in the live stream, so it's crazy. Whenever I drop regular video content, it's kind of been like offsetting my live stream content, but it is what it is. So y'all make sure y'all go check out our live streams on this channel as well. But it's all came back to 50 going back at this guy. But I'm trying to figure out, why did he say this today? Why did Diddy's son decided the day he was going to come out and lash out like that? Did he? It just makes me think. Did he talk to his father and his father tell him, or his lawyers the father's lawyers may say, "Hey, this appeal might look like it might not go the way we wanted to go," or because you never know, he might get it, he might win the appeal, but the heavy chances say he won't, but he might. A lot of people thought he was going, be fried in that trial, and he wasn't. So he didn't get all the time that a lot of us thought he was gonna get. So that's a big thing right there in itself. But as I look at this right here, you guys, this is this very peculiar situation right here. You know, um, it's just strange that he lashed out like that out of nowhere. Diddy's son. Now 50, he was ready for it. He was, as soon as he seen him say that, he said, "Oh, your daddy ain't in the Epstein file," because he was too busy making his own file. But when you think about it, what King Combs said, it is a lot of celebrities that's in the Epstein files, right? And they're walking around here free, and one of them is the President of the United States of America. That is true. But I just want to know why he said that today, though. What made him say that today? What triggered that reaction today? That's the $1 million question right now with Diddy's son. But I want to get into this a little bit.
You have these teams of lawyers that were gathered today at the United States Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit to present oral arguments on why Sean Diddy Combs should or should not be released from prison much sooner than the spring of 2028. Now, if you've been following us here at Sidebar, you know that we have covered the Sean Diddy Combs criminal case extensively, from the coordinated searches of his properties in LA and Miami to his arrest in New York City to his whole trial before Judge Arun Subramaniam. We have been following it all. Now, this appeal was filed in the Second Circuit after a jury convicted Combs on 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution, which were connected to Combs hiring escorts and having them travel to different locations. But he was acquitted of the much more serious charges that were brought against him in the federal indictment: conspiracy to commit racketeering and sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion. So the prosecution's star witness, as we remember, was Combs' ex, Cassie Ventura, who was in a relationship with him for 10 years. She claimed that she was forced to participate in what were called freak-offs, or hotel nights, where Combs would have an escort brought in, or that he would hire an escort to have sex with Cassie, sometimes for prolonged periods of time, and that this was an element of force and coercion that was used to get her to do this. And the prosecution posited that Combs used drugs to entice Cassie, or force Cassie, or coerce Cassie. And then there was a second alleged victim, identified as Jane Doe, to also participate in these marathon sex sessions. But the defense argued that whatever happened between Combs and his lovers was consensual, that it didn't add up to sex trafficking or even a violation of the Mann Act. That's the transportation to engage in prostitution. Because according to the Mann Act, it is illegal to transport someone as part of interstate or foreign commerce for prostitution. But Combs' attorneys say he wasn't making any money off of these meetups. This was just what he did for a thrill. There was entertainment purposes. But the defense really here, and what our purposes for this discussion are, they are saying that what happened to Combs was unjust, that he shouldn't have been sentenced to what he was sentenced to. They believe that Judge Subramanian's sentence was too harsh. According to Combs' team, the typical sentence for just Mann Act convictions is like 15 months, but Combs was sentenced to 50 months. They claim it's the most ever that was given in a case like this under these circumstances. And they claim that the judge improperly considered evidence and accusations and conduct that related to the acquitted charges, so sex trafficking and racketeering, to guide his decision, to guide his sentence. So I want to give you a little preview of the arguments that were made by both sides from their legal briefs, and then I'll give you the audio of what was argued in court. And then we're going to also bring on famed defense attorney Bradford Cohen to talk about the actual statements that were made on the record in court, get his prediction about whether or not Sean Diddy Combs is going to be released from prison earlier. So in the opening of its appellate brief, the defense states, quote, "The jury refused to authorize any punishment for coercive sex or conspiracy because the evidence showed there was none. The jury only authorized punishment for prostitution. It never authorized a sentence 4 times the typical sentence for that crime. The result was a perversion of justice. What is the point of a jury trial if you're vindicated on the most serious charges, but your sentence is driven by what you were acquitted of doing? That is the question at the heart of this appeal. The government has no answer. It doesn't even pretend to offer one. Instead, it offers up unpersuasive and hyper-technical arguments, misrepresents the record, cites outdated law, and ignores the elephant in the room, that it is both illegal and wrong to imprison a man for conduct he was acquitted of committing. He paid entertainers to create sexy scenes, and he and his girlfriends used role-playing and mood lighting, candles, costumes, and props. This amateur porn is protected by the First Amendment, and the government's arguments conflict with precedent. Indeed, pornography is everywhere today and produced and consumed by hundreds of millions through popular websites and social media. Combs should be released. His convictions should be reversed, or the case at least remanded for resentencing, meaning sent back down to a lower court for resentencing. So all potential options here. How did the government respond? How did the prosecution respond? Well, in its own brief, the government wrote, "The government's proof at trial established that for more than a decade, and on hundreds of occasions, Combs paid dozens of male commercial sex workers or escorts to have sex with 2 of Combs' girlfriends, Ventura and Jane. These sex sessions, freak-offs or hotel nights, went on for hours or days as Combs directed the encounters, pleasured himself, and often filmed. Combs plied Ventura and Jane with drugs and was at times physically violent, hitting, kicking, and punching them before, during, or after freak-offs and hotel nights. Combs relied on his staff to book travel, including interstate and international trips, set up and clean hotel rooms, and deliver drugs, cash, and other supplies in connection with freak-offs and hotel nights." According to Combs, the district court should have closed its eyes to how he carried out his Mann Act offenses and abused his victims, violently beating them, threatening them, lying to them, and plying them with drugs. To do otherwise, Combs says, violated the Constitution and was unfair and unjust. Combs is wrong. Now, in addition to submitting these briefs, both sides had the opportunity to present their arguments in person, oral arguments, to the 3-person appeals court. Again, the Second Circuit. Alexandra Shapiro, who also represented Combs at his original trial in district court, spoke first. And almost immediately, one of the judges interrupted.
"This case presents an important issue about respect for jury verdicts and public confidence in our criminal justice system. Multiple justices have questioned the constitutionality of acquitted conduct sentencing. McClinton made clear..."
Well, actually, I'm going to jump in right there, and I appreciate that you're leading with all that. If you were going to the question of the Sixth Amendment issue, is that where you were going?
Not quite.
Okay, I will. Why don't we lead one of your arguments is that it would violate the Sixth Amendment to consider acquitted conduct. Let's put it that way.
But Shapiro got back on track, made the argument that the court erred when it seemed to use issues that Combs was acquitted of, conduct that he was acquitted of, to essentially give him a more severe punishment. That's the allegation.
Isn't your argument really that what the government is doing here is mixing and matching? They're taking evidence from the claims that were acquitted to try to support the Mann Act claims.
So, yeah, man, y'all let me know.
Hey guys, Ticket really hopes you enjoyed the content. There will be a link in the description box and pinned at the top of the chat room where you can go to the Ticket TV merch shop and purchase the exclusive merchandise for men and women. Thanks for your support, and he appreciates all sales.
Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure y'all click those links below. Subscribe to the podcast show. You can donate support to the channel, Cash App, PayPal, or buy that weight loss formula. All the links are below. Peace.